Hello, my name is Margaret Ajibode. I'm the STEM Positive Disruptor, and I have on my platform today a special guest, Jesse Forte. He's an astronaut to be, and he's a top 100 men to follow in aerospace. He's an amazing guy. You have to hear his story, and he will enthuse you no matter what. And this is what we want to do on this platform. We want to enthuse people because what we want to do is educate, raise awareness, change people's perception, and demystify what STEM is, that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to bring the public into our domain. We want to change, we want to get the people to start talking and having a conversation about the things they can do. People, role models like Jesse, that has inspired his journey is amazing. Actually, you have to hear him tell you more about his journey as well. And also the thing is we want the government, the industry, and we want the education system to listen to the things that make that difference and bring more young people, especially people from diverse background, into our industry itself. So without further ado, welcome, Jesse.
What's up? Hey, thank you for inviting me onto your show. Thank you for the awesome introduction. I think it's really important, with STEM and STEAM for us to, show what the future of STEM and STEAM look like, and they look like us. They look like people from diverse backgrounds from around the world who have different perspectives, who have experienced and seen different things. Because as we enter the oceans and space, we're going to need a lot of different heads on different projects to be successful. And that's one thing that I love about the work that I do is it's teamwork. I asked, an astronaut who had already gone to space, a very famous one, what is like the best quality you've noticed in the astronauts that you've worked with or the best astronauts? And he didn't say anything about calculus or like aerodynamics or science. He said, the best quality that I've seen and the best candidates and best people I've worked with that are astronauts is that they're good people. And that to me was very inspiring. And it made me happy because at the end of the day, wherever you are, whether you're working in a mail room, whether you're Uber driving, whether you're playing sports, you want to make sure that you have good people around you. And sometimes good people doesn't always sound like people, saying, yeah, you can do it. Sometimes good people are the ones that push you when you don't want to do what you said you're going to do. Sometimes great people are the ones that call you out when they know that you're better than that. And that's really what being an astronaut is. It's about having a position, knowing your role, and being committed to that. So space is for everyone. If you can learn how to be a great teammate, if you can learn to be optimistic, and if you can find ways to grow and expand on your horizons in whatever category, whether it's artistry, technology, math, science, linguistics, you can take, your life and your passions to the next level.
It's so true. And it's so who you spoke to, it's very wise in the sense that it's not about your technical skills, it's about your heart and your integrity and what you stand for and how you project to other people as well. It's about being the motivator, the encourager, and the one who also will challenge you if they feel that things that you're doing are not right. And this is what we want to do, where the young people consult people of different background, because we talk about diversity, we talk about being inclusive, we talk about, accessibility. But when it comes to the real terms of those things, it doesn't always translate in the practical terms. And I know that you call yourself an ambassador of astronauts. And it's so fun as well. But I just want to go back slightly because you've done quite a lot of things. Even most recently, you went for the mayor, your mayor candidate for Los Angeles. How did that pan out for you?
Well, so The cool thing about this whole thing was that one of the mayors, he actually went to my gym, and we do CrossFit training together. So we compete against each other. And this all stemmed from him on a treadmill right next to me biking, and I'm biking next to him. And then I found out who he was, and I'm like, this guy's the mayor of my city. And I'm like, if he is on a treadmill and going, and I'm on a treadmill, then I can do what he does too. So I was like, what's the difference, right? So I walked into, the council for the state of California, and I was like, hey, what do I need to do to run for mayor of LA? And they're like, well, you need to get this paperwork done, you need to do this investigation, and you need to get this many signatures, within the next month or two. I was like, that's it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. So, I went around LA County, LA City, as an ambassador for mayor of LA. I went into different debates with Karen Bass and just took notes and things of that nature, and studied each one of the candidates for mayor. Why is their position, why is their position something I'd support? What am I against? Who do I like? Who do I seem sounds really fishy? All this kind of stuff. And then I was going back to the city because I'm not originally from LA, I'm from Arizona. And I was talking to the people of the different counties, like, what issues are you guys going through? Where's the money going? Who do you like? What, and just figuring out so much. So within a 6-month period, I got to learn more about the city and the state that I live in, but I got to also, run for mayor of LA. I was a list-in candidate on the ballot. I had my friends and we did Instagram reels to like do promotions. So I'm like, hi, my name's Jesse Forte, and I'm running for mayor of LA. I'm like, these are reasons why you should vote for me. So it was really cool. And again, I was the first astronaut candidate running for mayor of LA, one of the top 5 largest cities in the world, and the youngest too. So my whole thing is the people that I was running against are in their late 50s, mid 60s, 70s. I'm 29, so it's like I'm getting my feet wet in these new opportunities because one day I'm going to be mayor. I get to be these things. I'm taking those steps today.
The reason why I wanted to talk about it, because again, what you're demonstrating, everything's possible, that you should not hinder yourself. And this is the thing about you saying astronaut is for everyone, or that to go to space is for everybody, anyone can. And it's not just about the technical skills, it's about the creativity. There's so many different levels of that, but also just taking us back. Can you just tell us more about your journey to why did you then decide this is for you? You want to become an astronaut, although you're still aiming to go to space, hopefully very soon. Why that? Because I know you did quite a lot of training in Europe as well. It's like climate, the cold weather training and everything else. Can you sort of explain more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, ever since I was a kid, they ask you what do you want to be? And there were 3 things that I wanted to be. I wanted to be a hip hop artist, I wanted to be a Power Ranger, and I wanted to be an astronaut. And these all seemed like untouchable objects as a kid because I didn't know how to get into them, right? But I was really fascinated about science, and I loved Toy Story. Buzz Lightyear was my favorite. And Afrotech wrote an article on me about that whole transition about, how movies can inspire people.
Mm.
Well, it's funny that, Buzz Lightyear was my, one of my biggest passions and whatnot, because a couple of weeks ago, Christina Court came by, and she's an astronaut wrangler. She works with all of the astronauts. She manages them, she gets them their gigs, all that stuff. She came here to LA to meet with me. But she was Buzz Aldrin's manager. Buzz Aldrin is what Buzz Lightyear was based off of. Buzz Aldrin is the original Apollo 11 astronaut.
Wow.
Who went up with Neil Armstrong, the second person to touch the moon.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm
so all these things are coming back full circle to me.
Yeah.
These manifesting dreams, these things that people laughed at me about, these things that I thought were too big for myself are now pants that I can fit in.
Mm.
And then I'm wrapping the belt around and walking in,
Yeah.
the biggest thing that I would mention to people, and especially kids, and especially young adults, is the word I am. After you say I am, you become. As a man or a woman thinketh, so shall she be in her heart,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah,
So
indeed.
if you think about these things, if you manifest them, if you believe in them, if you work towards them, there's a great possibility that you're gonna make it happen. And same thing on the flip side. If you think negatively, if you don't think that you're worthy, if you downplay your gift, if you don't go all the way in, those same things can surely happen to you. I know what that's like to be on the flip side, and to not think highly of myself. And that's why I push myself to this degree, because I understand how powerful it is. I understand the mechanisms of you know, who talks to us, but the most important person that talks to us is ourself. If
Very
you're
true.
not able to give yourself the right information, how else do you think the rest of the world is going to impact you? If you're not constantly telling yourself who you are, the world will make up who you want to be. And you don't want that, because the world may want you to, like, you know what I'm saying, be something that you're
You're
not.
not. Yeah, so
You
true.
know?
So, do you know that's so, so true? That's words of wisdom. And this is why we want to enthuse people of different backgrounds to think beyond what their environment is dictating to them or what other people are saying. And also, you made a good point about, the person who speaks to you the most is yourself, because you talk to yourself in your head all the time. You either berate yourself or you prop yourself up. And that's so important to be able to sift through all that and see, because it's okay to dream, and it's not impossible to achieve those goals. You're a prime example. You said, what you said, you manifested that. You started believing that this is possible. And you talked about seeing the programs that you follow, Toy Story, for example, and you wanted to be, and that in itself, it was a driver for you to say, hold on a minute, this is very possible for me. I can do all these things. But this is more the peripherals of things. Can you just tell us more as to what you're doing in preparation to become a fully fledged astronaut? Very briefly.
Well, outside of believing, outside of
That's
having
important.
faith,
Yes.
outside of knowing who I am,
Yeah.
I'm doing the work. And that is also just as important as manifesting. And when I say doing the work, I'm being selective on private sector missions that I go on. You know, I've been on 3 different missions. One in Poland, which was a simulation International Space Station mission with Lunaris, where we had team crew members from NASA and SpaceX come on board. I recently did a mission in Iceland with the Chill Ice mission, who's a part of ESA, the European Space Agency, and other private sector space missions, where we focused on human performance, extreme climate condition training, and we lived in a dormant volcano in Iceland, an hour outside of Reykjavik and Sléttavík, with a remote crew of 20 plus um, rocket scientists, astronaut candidates, human performance scientists, and so much more, where we took 3 civilian astronauts in training to these dormant, volcanoes, and we prepped them for the research that we were, working on. And so one of my big jobs was to actually go into the volcanoes prior to the mission to make sure that they were actually dormant volcanoes, to make sure that these were places that did not have any emergency issues, and there was evacuation systems. So we had an on-site crew from Iceland, and then also our own on-site crew from around the world that monitored, that kept surveillance, 24-hour surveillance over these individuals from Spain and from France and from the US, to make sure that the mission was successful, that nobody was harmed, and that we gathered the materials that we needed. And recently just finished up a mission with IIAS, I believe it's the International Intergalactic Alliance of Science program,
Okay.
where we did G-force training,
Oh.
hyperbaric oxygen training, We did latitude and longitude training for orbit. So hypothetically speaking, if your, if your Wi-Fi or your internet or your iPads go out of service and you don't have Google Maps in space, how do you get back to the Gulf of Mexico? At what speed trajectory are you going? At what angle do you need to glide, the spacecraft back into orbit? These are all very important aspects of surviving, in space and coming back down. So I did it with crew members that have gone to space already. Shout out to Sarah Sabry. I've worked with individuals who have already gone to space. My group of friends, majority of them, like they've already gone to space. They've already experienced zero gravity. My time's coming very soon, sooner than we think.
When is that?
Find out on the next episode.
Oh, come on. No, come on. Just a hint, just roughly an estimate. It doesn't, we don't need to know exactly the timeline, but are we looking in the next 12 months, 24
Within
months?
the next year.
Oh, congratulations. You know what? The reason why we have this platform, again, we want to enthuse our young people, we want to enthuse people, we want to see that everything is possible, because your journey is kind of really diverse in so many ways. And there are points in your life where you had some low moments and you had some really high moments. We're not talking about that, but it's that you're able to pick up yourself. You're also able to help other people as well, because this is something that you're very passionate about. And it's something that we want to celebrate the likes of you, because there's so many people out there who are very insular. But you're saying, I want to give back. I want to make that difference. I want to show to people that look like me that if I can do it, you can do it too. And so you don't see hindrances, you just see opportunities or challenges that can turn into opportunities. And this is what we want to do. We want to celebrate the likes of you doing that and achieving great goals, so that we can say to someone in a place where it seems like an impossible feat, that, hold on a minute, do you remember Jesse? Can you imagine him? Yeah, we had this conversation just around the corner, and look at him now. And the fact that you're doing so many great things, you've traveled, you found you're comfortable in your own skin. I think so important, because there's so many people who speak the words but are not living that life. They talk a lot about what they do, but in reality they're not free within themselves. And you showcase that, okay, I've got to that place in my life where I do understand who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. So thank you again. I'm really, truly appreciative of this. I also want to just talk about, because you have a podcast. I don't know if it's still going. It's called The Revolutionary Minds and Emerging Artists. Is that right? The Young Revolutionary Minds and Emerging Artists podcast.
Yeah, that's my podcast. That's actually my company, Young Revolutionary Minds.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done everything from host over 300. I've done everything from host over 300 episodes with people who have ran for president of the United States, Hall of Fame NBA players, actors, actresses, entrepreneurs. But then also I created one of the most inclusive and diverse conferences in Phoenix, Arizona, where we had the chief deputy of the Marine Corps, the Olympic head coach for the USA men's wrestling team, some of Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneurs building 7, 8, 9-figure organizations, fly in from around the world and enlighten. It was a small setting of about, I'd say like 80, 90 people. But this was 3-4 years ago. Just from having a podcast, being able to, talk just like this, whether it was in person or, on camera, and connect with people. And then to build that type of relationship where it's like, hey, I'm having this conference in a month, and I would love to have you speak on your business, who you are, something that will empower the entrepreneurial community. And people gather and gravitate toward me and be like, yeah, Jesse, like, I'm buying my ticket tonight. Like, we love you, we fuck with you, we want to be a part of your vision. And it's so beautiful, because that was a celebratory moment in my life, because it was like, wow, if I can create this from scratch, from nothing, look what I can do in a couple more years. Look what I can do if I continue to plug away. And I remember having that conference and putting that vision together and thinking to myself, these people are going to be so proud of me, because later on in life, they're going to remember this, what we did together for the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I speak in high schools. Like I go to Compton, and I speak to the kids. I've been speaking to them for about 2 years. You know, they started off as, I think, first graders, and I went in with my, you know, my flight suit after my first mission in
Oh,
Poland,
yeah.
and they're like, Miss Radiance, what is this guy, and why does he have a big blue suit? And they're like,
Oh,
Jesse's an astronaut. They're like, what? And they're like tugging on my dreads and stuff. And these are young Black kids.
yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
wait, if you're an astronaut, then I can be one. I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah, that's the whole point, and it's all
Mm,
about representation, man. You
yeah.
know, it's all about, you know, showing people that, hey, it's possible for all of us. You know, and then providing those tools and the mindset to, you know, push through, because there's a lot more, you know, to life than just being an astronaut. There's emotions, there's things that you go through, and it's like, how do you maneuver around them? How do you grow from it? How do you not let things beat you down
Yeah.
and conquer your dreams? And
Yeah.
those things are just as important too, because it's like,
Oh,
if you don't grow over those, you're not going to be able to get to this next level.
so true. Do you know, you're such an inspiration. I'm listening to you. And I know you've been, you're so young, but you're so old, and that makes it's not old in the sense of, but it's just that you're so seasoned in your movement and your approach and your thinking. Is this? I'm just so impressed. What was your background like? What was your family network like? How did you get into that place, that space that allows you to see things in a different way, to not being insular but outward? And I think it's so important, because sometimes, you made mention about, it's not just about the technical aspect. It's not about your qualifications. You have that we as human beings are not just about the work we do. We also have the emotions that run through, as you rightly said, and other aspects. We are much more than just what we do. And how did you get to that point? Because I'm kind of really fascinated, because the way you talk, I know you're seasoned, so you know how to communicate, but young people will listen to this, and especially people from, black people, young black boys, men, young, and then they're struggling to find their space, where they stand, where they can make a difference. But you're saying it's possible. So can you just explain that very briefly, though, because I want to really make this concise so that they can hear you.
Yeah, that's a lot to package, but I would say that I was, you know, first off, my mother, she didn't give up on me.
Yeah.
And I definitely could see, you know, when I was 6, I didn't know how to read. I was supposed to get held back. And basically through elementary school, so first grade all the way to about, you know, fourth, fifth grade, I wasn't passionate about school. I was having, I was having issues learning, comprehension, understanding. I was great at, you know, creating jokes in the classroom. I was definitely the class leader, but I was trying to find a way to channel that leadership of jokes into actually getting my work done. I'm like, hey, dude, if I can get the whole class to laugh and like mess around with the substitute teacher, like, how can I take this same type of energy and like learn how to read or
Mm,
like understand my questions and stuff like that? And it
mm,
always goes back down to focus.
mm, mm, mm,
What are you focused on? What are you
mm,
willing to give up?
mm.
And how much time are you willing to put in?
Yeah.
So the more that I learn about, you know, studying and behaving and stuff like that, um, the better I became. I think now it's funny though, because you know, I do music. You know, I'm getting ready to perform with some like the greatest artists in hip hop that have ever, you know, been. You know, I
Mm.
plan on being the first hip hop artist to go to space, and that's part of like my whole, you know, like we're told to behave as kids and stuff like that. Like this is just
Mm.
me like being rowdy again. This
Yeah,
is like the inner child in me like acting up
yeah,
again. Like
yeah,
I told you I'd be who I said I was. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I get to make music, but my music is empowering. My music
yeah,
is
yeah,
delicious. It's something that, you know, people
yeah,
can take into their souls and appreciate.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I I feel like there's a lot of different components to the question that you asked me. As far as seasons, I'm a huge reader. I love reading books. I'm a writer. I'm an author of 4 books.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, I have my podcast where I've been able to, you know, connect with people. But before I got into the STEM and the science industry, I was a journalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went from the kid that couldn't read, that couldn't comprehend the Cat in the Hat, like
Mm.
what is the Cat in the Hat about,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
author of 4 books. And every time I write a book, I go back to my first grade teacher, who taught me, who sat me down at the end of class and spent an hour with me for
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And I give her my new book because without that dedication on her part, you know, um, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, uh, I have a huge appreciation for teachers, for educators,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
professors,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially the ones in my life that have
Made a difference.
helped me bloom, helped
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
inspired me. And so
Yeah.
that's what I love, the fact that it's funny because, like, a teacher, she goes in every day. He goes in
Yeah.
every day to teach those kids. And I
Yeah.
come in for, 2 hours and the kids are just like, ah, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's really the everyday grind that the teacher goes through.
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to be, the seasoning or the icing on the cake that,
Yeah.
helps them remember who they are and who they can
Yeah.
be. They
Yeah.
choose to.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know, seriously, you are amazing person. You're an amazing guy. And I know that the public, when they hear you, the people, especially young black kids, young black boys, especially who are, I know, feel isolated and not feeling they can fit in anywhere. They listen to you and listen to your journey. I know that I know sometimes we don't have that perfect world or perfect relationship with our family. That makes it hard for us. But in spite of all, there was always going to be somebody out there who will take you on and help you. And again, it's also you willing to reciprocate that by receiving the gift of help. And I think that's so, so important. I really, seriously, I'm so, so impressed. I would love to talk to you all day. But before, and I know you said you're an artist. I was going to talk about this. So, and you've done quite amazing things as well. Even your song, even talking about STEM or STEAM, as you call it. How you want to incorporate that, the music, using your voice, music, technology, and astronaut or going to space. I mean, that's wonderful itself. But just for final takeaway, if you were going to say something based on your experience, because even though you're just 29, you're very seasoned and you've done a lot in your short life, and I can see you doing great things in the future as well. What would you say? What would be a takeaway for those young people that are coming up who feel isolated, who feel they don't belong, and what would you say to them that this is everything is possible? I don't want to put that words into your mouth, but whatever you feel is an important ingredient that will make that difference in their lives.
The sooner you learn to do the hard things, the easier your life becomes, the more happy you become.
What are the hard things like?
The hard things are not procrastinating and doing your homework when you get home. The hard things are going in and getting an extra workout if you play sports. The hard things are having that conversation with your teacher if you're struggling. The hard things are putting in extra time and effort in the craft that you're not good at, that you just started, that you're weak at. The hard thing is working on your weaknesses. Everyone can do great things when they're talking about how good they are. When I was a kid, I was the champion at second grade of tetherball. I was so good at tetherball. At first grade, I had this friend Christopher who taught me. By second grade, I had lines of the entire students, like 40, 50, 60 students before recess, before school started, in a line. And I'd just be like, boom, next, boom, next. And it got so bad that the principal was getting emails through AOL from all the parents that were like, this kid, Jesse, he is a ball hog. He doesn't let any of the kids win. This is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't send my kid here to get annihilated. And so all of a sudden, I remember my second grade teacher coming to lunch and she sees this huge line of me just next, next. And she's like, Jesse, maybe you should go to the fourth grade line. I was like, nah, this is fun. I like this.
Selfish.
This is great. I'm like, I can't even read, but this is the only satisfaction I get.
Yeah, Passion,
You
yeah.
know, this
Fair
is the
enough,
only
yeah.
win that I get outside of the day because I'm struggling in every other thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she's like, go to the fourth grade line.
Yeah.
I go to the fourth grade line. I blow them up. She's go to the fifth grade line. Blow them up. Go to the sixth grade line. I'm 7. I'm going against 12-year-olds that are teenagers. Dude's got a full beard. David versus Goliath. I go against every sixth grader. I go against the queen of recess. And we have this ball out. Her, boom, she hits it. Boom, I hit it. Boom, she hits it. Boom, I hit it. And then I'm like, enough is enough. Ah, and I throw tether. Boom. And then it's me against the king of tetherball. This man is probably about 5'11". He's got chin hairs growing in. I'm 7, you know, and we're going at it. And all of a sudden I go, you know what? Enough is enough. Boom, I hit it as hard as I can. I break my wrist. I'm 7. I don't know if that was the ending that you thought was going to happen, but
He learned a lesson there.
I broke my wrist, but I would have never known how far I could go.
Yeah.
Or how good I was.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of morals to that story, but test out how great you can be. Go a little bit further. Continue to go out a little bit further. If you're doing music, you know, try a new genre. You don't have to just do one set. If you're doing one science, try another one. See if you can integrate what you know with this other one.
Yeah.
That's how collaboration and invention and innovation happens, is when you take one concept and you implode it into another one.
Okay. Do you know, thank you. I can listen to you all day, but thank you so much. This is really inspiring. You're very inspiring. And I'm looking forward to seeing you up in space as well. Thank you again, Jesse. Again, this is Margaret Ajibade, the STEM Positive Disruptor. Again, my special guest, Jesse Forte, astronaut to be. We can't wait to see him in space.
Follow me on social media.
Yes.
Follow me on social media. Astro J Forte. ASTRO JFORTE.
All right. Peace. Thank you so much.